Junia-T on the beat. Arlo Mav, baby Jing. We live on Behind the Sound, baby.
Check. You could catch wreck, bun in the blunt, or catch wreck, trying to catch wreck, bun in the blunt. Next step. Get bench press stuck in the clutch of a stressed man with a vendetta up in your mug. It gets better. Man never think you're tougher than tough, cause that man that thinks he's tougher than tough can get set up, really. Ask whether you'll be hunted in lunch, and a second chilling in marinade, soaking it up. Yeah, what up?
Clear security, on my way to Rotterdam. Feeling at home cause of all the love that they showing me. Connecting flights, we'll see sights and leave our mark. Expecting life, you'll reach heights, but play your part. City on my back, but you know this. Never falling back cause we focus. Look at all the doors that we opened. Man, this is a movement on a moment. The hunger never left, as you clearly see. Looking anorexic, but I love to eat. All we have is us, man, fuck the greed. We may never see the branch, but let's plant the trees.
I used to rock with a Triton up in the basement. 3 beats a night, ain't no sleeping until we lace it. But now I rock on the mic and I don't chase it. I say no to paper for the art like Mace did. I used to run with a gang of gangbangers. I've been around, now I'm behind the sound of slang bangers. We downtown now, my studio is beautiful, so I can make music just for me, not for you to feel. But if you feel it though, I'm liking your vibe. Before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe. This ain't new to me. On a beat with Junia-T, now I'm preaching unity. Dark song with Politic Live, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, only find real MCs with veterans. Who can you find that's better than late night like David Letterman, Red Man, whatever man, murdering everything, bad man pon the scene.
Let's go, baby. Let's go, let's go, let's go. That was fire, man. Thank you, thank you. What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Behind the Sound. I can't tell you how excited. I even left my gold tooth in for this one. Usually I just leave it in the booth, but I got my man here, Junia-T and Arlo Mav. I'm so excited to have both of you here. Arlo, thank you for bringing Junia-T through. You are an award-winning producer. You've worked with artists like Jesse Reyes, Cadence Weapon, Edmonton's own, K-Riz, and we are just like super grateful and honored to have your talents and skills here with us chatting, but also, dropping bars in the booth.
Appreciate you guys having me, man. Being out in Edmonton's have been a vibe, so inspired and things. So why not drop a 1-2,
I like how you were, first of all, Arlo, came in here saying that maybe you weren't going to drop a verse. I was kind of hoping that you were, but you were just going to bring the drum machine out. Yeah. You made that fire beat, bro. It's incredible. You're super talented. But then I was happy to see you kind of running through some lyrics. I'm like, are you gonna drop something? Yeah, I'm gonna drop something. And then he tried to pretend like, I haven't done this in a while, and then he just goes and lights it up. One take, really, we could have used that first one. We got another one just for safety. But man, you killed it. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys, man. Like the energy in Edmonton has me on one still. I can't lie. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
Went through to check my homies the other day, made some beats, and at the end of the night, made a 1 tune. Had to drop a verse there too. So it's like the energy out here has me doing some new stuff, man.
Inspired.
Yeah, man.
And sometimes it takes being like lifting yourself out of your environment into somewhere else that just inspires that creativity, right? Do you get that?
For sure, man. And like that was a big part of me wanting to be out here too. Because like I've spent a lot of time in the city. I haven't traveled for a bit. I've just been at home working on music and just needed a recharge. So I came out here to connect with Arlo to make some music, but also to connect to the Caribbean population out here too, because he told me enough Jamaicans are out here. So I was like, some yard people about, let me come true. So Arlo, walk us through a little bit of the connection, how Junia-T ended up here working on music with you and kind of what you guys are getting together right now.
This is courtesy of K-Riz connecting us. K-Riz is someone who he worked with on his last album. And so Riz is like, hey, you should reach out to Junia-T. He's been working with Bijan, worked with Tiffany. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then he played me some of his stuff. I'm like, all right, I'll reach out to him. And
since we've been able to connect, we've been talking about it back and forth. Yeah, and just he sent me some beats for me to check out. I'm like, okay, I can vibe with some of the stuff here. And then him being out here has been even better because now we're in person, like just connecting and building, you know? So yeah.
Love it, man. Love it. So catch us up in terms of like, what are you what do you specialize in these days? So you're not rapping, but you've got bars, you focused on producing.
Yeah.
What's happening in Toronto out of your studio right now?
See, like what I really honed in on was song making as a producer. Like in the beginning, my rapping style came from me being a beat maker, just having beats for my joints, you know? And as I evolved into being able to work with other artists and have musicians into the fold, I've kind of fallen into this process where I could leave a session with a full song, incepted from scratch, you know? So I've really just been honing in on this ability through repetition. And I've been blessed to be able to try this out with a variety of artists. You know what I mean? We listed a few of them, like T. Fanny. I've been able to do the same with people like Cadence Weapon, but also do it in different styles of music as well. I've been able to cook up with like folk artists like Monrovia from Chattanooga, also with like R&B singers like Hannah, you know? So for me, it's just like play. How much fun can I have with making music, you know?
How much or little do you adapt your production style to the artist that you're working with? Like, is there, for sure, there's a Junia-T sound and flavor,
Right.
but like, where do you start with an artist in terms of helping them find their sound or infusing a little bit of your own sound into what they're doing?
It starts with doing nothing at the beginning of the session. So I like to book sessions for like 4 hours minimum. So the first 2 hours have nothing to do with the music. We just sit there, get
love
to be
that.
human, talk about whatever we're going through in the day, what we've been going through over time. And then when we eventually get to the music, you know, as far as creatively, sometimes I'll start with drums, but I really like to let the day dictate where the music should go. So I do my best to be sensitive to the energy I'm feeling. You know, some days I'll start with drums. Some days, depending if the artist plays an instrument, I'll have them lead the melody and I'll accompany that feeling. But as long as we start in a grounding space, the rest of the song tends to write itself. You know, like the lyrics come from the conversation we had. The mood of that conversation dictates the harmony we're probably going to choose, you know? And that's how I like to approach it. If I'm working with somebody new or somebody that's like more refined, it's still the same approach. I just kind of like surrender to the moment, you know?
I love that. I love that. And that's why, having only met you now, but listened to some of your stuff and hearing some of the background from what Arlo has shared, I see why you're so good at what you do, starting your process like that.
Right.
Because good producers, good sellers, good anything starts with listening. And as a producer, if you're about just coming here and, oh, here's your beat, this is the style, you know what I mean? Like, and you spend this time, an hour, 2 hours or whatever in the session, just like vibing and getting to understand who's sitting in front of you and who's sitting beside you, you end up really understanding, getting to the heart of who that artist is and pulling out the best of both of you, right?
Yes, the both of us is the big part. Because like, as much as people may think that I'm at this certain skill level, I'm always learning every session. So the more I surrender to the session, the better chances I have to learn something new. You know what I mean? And I like combining things that are unconventional, but it takes to be like open enough to be able to make those kind of choices, you know? So yeah, man.
Arlo, what's it been like for you as a recording artist working with a producer? This is the first time you've worked together?
Yeah, first time.
Okay,
First time.
so that's a good thing to talk about then, because like, what has the process been from a hip hop perspective as a rapper? It's easy to find a dope beat that you like and just start writing to it. It's not as much of a collaborative process to begin with, at least, as like a pop singer or a folk singer, where you're maybe only beginning with a melody of a verse or something like that and building everything around it. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Everybody's process is different. So what has that been like for you connecting with Junia-T? What sort of drew you to him and his style and his music and his instrumentation?
Well, a couple things still. One is that when I look at my production approach, ever since the second or third Politic Lab album, like we began producing with teams of putting the best minds in the room together, because my whole outlook on it is that if you are relying on one person to be the person with all the ideas, then you're limiting yourself, right? You're also not allowing for the track to be infused with different ideas that might actually be really dope, right? So, sorry, my nose is running.
You want some tissue, bro? Are you crying?
Yes.
I know you're getting all sentimental because of the Dark Sun Poly Live collab that finally, is coming together. You want? You're
Produced by me too. That's crazy. You got to be a part of history real quick.
Let's
You
go.
know what I'm saying?
Let's go. Bring that in, yeah.
Into by Natalie in the background here.
Yeah.
man.
Getting some BTS.
Yes, man.
Thank you. My apologies to the audience watching at home. So the whole idea of putting the best minds in the room and creating an album, and a lot of that comes from some of the producers that I've been inspired by, like Dr. Dre or Kanye West, right? Now, the thing that is cool about this whole process is that Junia listens to the room in the sense of, like, it's not just a matter of coming in and saying, okay, we have verse, chorus, and we produce the beat, so on and so forth. We have people coming through and he'll like start off with the beat. So then Ari ends up on the keys and he's playing something, or then we say, hey, Frost, hop on the drums. He's on the drums, right? And like playing like actual physical drums, or miking that. So a lot of it is just allowing the room to just like live, and people to come in with different ideas that ends up helping the track get to a point where it's organic, but it also represents the flavors that are in that room and the moment. And we have those conversations. Like the other day we were talking about one particular subject, and all of a sudden that inspires, okay, let's go down this route. Let's see what we're able to create based off of that mood and that feeling, So the second thing is that if you're familiar with Virginia, you know the role that Teddy Riley plays in allowing us to discover people like Timbaland, Jodeci, the Neptunes, Missy Elliott, the Clips, all of that, right?
What's Teddy Riley's connection to Timbaland?
Teddy Riley moved down to Virginia, and when he moved down to Virginia, bought a house, he began to realize how much talent was down there. So because of that, he ends up working with a lot of these guys here and giving them early mentorship, and also having them in the studio. Pharrell was producing with Teddy Riley from like the early 90s, right? So just the way that my mind thinks, let's bring a producer who actually understands the importance of being in different markets. Junia-T's in different markets all the time, right? From Vancouver to Winnipeg to Calgary to Edmonton, like all across Canada and other parts of the world as well too.
Yeah.
So bringing him here and allowing him to actually understand what we have going on here, other like producers, musicians, so on and so forth, are able to actually learn from his process, but he's also able to contribute to the scene itself through the music he's creating. So in ways, he's kind of like my Teddy Riley in the sense of coming to the city, soaking up the vibe, realizing what's here, and then allowing for those producers, musicians, artists to then make that connection that hopefully opens them to a whole new world, and also opening their minds to what production can be.
Sheesh.
Real.
Is that because you didn't want to support local and didn't think there was another producer good enough in Edmonton?
Hold on, let me turn to my camera right now. The crazy thing about it is that this is actually the first time, whether it be an Arlo Maverick project or a Politic Lab project, where I've worked with someone outside of Edmonton.
Oh, really?
Never did it before. And I was very adamant about that, because I felt that in order for us to level up as a community, we have to give our own producers opportunities. But in doing so, we also have to realize that reaching out to other producers who can actually help infuse their ideas, infuse their experiences, so on and so forth, and also connections. There's a whole network that's being missed if we just keep it local, right? Yeah. But now we expand the network, and all of a sudden now Junia-T is able to come out here, and he's meeting other artists, and they're meeting him and other producers, and like literally watching him and Ari work together, I'm just like, this is dope.
Crazy.
Watching him and Uzi work together.
Inspiring each other, right?
Crazy Fingers. Like it's such a cool moment, you know?
For other artists who would like to do that, How do you go about doing that? It costs money. You got a fly guy here. You got to, you know what I mean? Like you got to put him up, him or her up. What does that process look like? And I know that you're big on understanding the grant process and going after that grant money, going after that free money, and getting your business hat on so that you can appropriately put together the right proposal to get your best foot forward to access that grant money. What do you think, what would you recommend is the most important thing for an artist to, where do they start if they want to work with somebody from Toronto, a producer they really like on Instagram? How do they go about making that connection like you did?
Well, keep in mind with my situation, it was someone putting me in contact with them, right? So a lot of times we don't utilize our network, right? And they say your network is your net worth, right? So me having relationships with people like K-Riz, me having relationships with people like even Super Duty Tough Work. Brandon is someone who I've met. We have a cool relationship, supported his music, so on and so forth. Like I can then go on the, like, granted I could like flip their vinyl over and look at the credits and see, okay, Junia-T's on this, right? Some of it comes down to your network. Some of it comes down to your willingness to go out there and just search. Because even you had said that Super Duty had reached out to them because they heard the project and just like, yo, this is dope. We have the internet. We have social media where you can reach out to somebody. And even sometimes I know for me, if I don't recognize someone's picture or profile, I'm very hesitant because there's so much stuff going out there.
That's right. Yeah,
but
I was just going to mention that. Yeah.
At the same time, though, like if I notice that they have mutual friends, then I could always reach out to somebody and be like, hey, can you put me in touch with this person here? My publicist, Juliana Capone, that was through Riz, right? And so you have to hope that your homies are looking out for you and saying, okay, I see you're making these power plays. Let me connect you. Moraine's done that for me. So I think a lot of it comes down to the ecosystem, the community, knowing that there's a need and also recognizing that this person who you don't know is someone who you should know. And once those connections become, all of a sudden now you're in a situation where it's just like, yo, like I'm so glad we were able to connect with this, you know? For my last project, Ari from Mela Freak, that was ended by Natalie saying, I think you really need to work with this guy here. His whole production process changed me as an artist. So we have to support one another and recognize that, like, make those recommendations, right? And connect people. Like, that's what makes this whole industry run, is the whole connecting of people. Yeah.
When you talk about your network as your net worth, it's so important because when you're talking about established producers like Junia-T or a publicist who doesn't just work with anybody, you sending a DM on Instagram is very different than Riz saying, yo, Junia-T, you got to work with my boy. He's in Edmonton. He's got this project coming up. It's a very different connection that you're able to make that way because people reach out to me as well on DMs on Instagram. It's tough to filter through who the real ones are and who the fake ones are and who the scammers are. And like, I can't even answer my phone anymore. You know what I mean? Like if you're not in my phone, I'm not answering the call because it's just going to be some East Indian or some Filipino guy trying to sell me some shit, right? And so it does make a huge difference. What about for you? Like in terms of when artists are reaching out to you, is it important for you to have that mutual friend or some sort of a connection? Have you found somebody or has somebody found you that ended up being like a diamond in a rough that you were like, that surprised you?
I think just energy, not to sound like, cliche, but plays a big role in what comes into your orbit. As far as me discovering music that I've never heard before, I've definitely been reached out to by people, but also the referral component does make things more exciting because if it's coming from a source that's really trusted and that you really enjoy, that's something that you're more willing to embark on. Like one of those projects is this Bijan record. So I'm working with this artist named Bijan from Calgary, and his best friend is one of my close homies from back in the day when I used to rap. My homie Gray, you know what I mean? So when he hit me up on something like, yo...
Is he Filipino too?
No, he's Canadian white dude. You know? He's like, yo, I want you to work with my homie Bijan. I'm like, oh, if it's him calling me, like...
Yeah, right.
And then just off of the strength of the love, I was down to do it, you know what I mean? But when homie came through for the first session... murdered it. Like one take for like a lot of the stuff.
So.
You know what I mean? So... it's always fun to meet some dope talent, you know what I mean?
But I think one thing that if there's a takeaway that artists can get from this is that every beat that you make is creating a opportunity for you to meet someone new, get a new client, whatever the case may be, right? The amount of times that Junia-T's name has come up within the last year from different people.
Yeah.
We're out in Rotterdam for New School Rules, and Ice is out there with us. And she's like, yo, like, you got to connect with Junia-T, or she's talking about Junia-T. We're over in Vancouver for the Junos. Junia-T's name is brought up again, you know? So it's like, what you do, the quality of your work will allow your name to move into circles that you are not in. And I think that if you give quality and also give people the respect and treat them in a way that makes them want to talk about you in a positive way,
Right.
like, be reliable, be consistent, be great at what you do, like, never half-ass it with anything, because people will then begin to praise your name in ways that when it comes back to you, all of a sudden there's an opportunity that's attached to that.
Totally. Yeah, because the experience is important too.
True.
You know, there's lots of talent out there, whether we're talking about videography or music production. But if you end up in a session that you're just not vibing or not having a good experience or a good feeling about what's happening, so much business and music happens on like and trust. And that's how I think greatness happens. And I would argue that the experience part is more important, you know, because it trumps it. You know, you could have the most talented person, but if you fucking hate them and it's like they're a dick and they're terrible to work with, what does that matter, right?
Exactly. That's a big thing. To add to that, DJing with Jesse Reyes, one of the biggest lessons that I get to witness up close is the quality of who you have in your team is such a big thing. Like, her company's called Family.
I love
and that's
that.
literally what it feels like
Yeah.
when we go on tour. It feels like a big family trip from all the people on the team, from like management, the people in the band, to the assistants, even the way we treat the tour bus driver. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She brings her family on tour as well. You know what I mean? And like, what I got to see from that is like, when people, like you said, are like quality people,
Yeah.
the whole experience becomes enriched too. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Some challenges could present itself, but when you're at that high vibration of feeling, there's small issues that you get over so easy. too.
Yeah.
So it's super integral to have quality people.
Yeah.
And the cipher, even in the studio too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's essentially problem solving.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
So whether it be tech or just like figuring out a song. So if you've got someone that's gonna look at problem solving from like the negative perspective, then it may be harder to do. But if you've got people that are gonna like just figure it out happily, smooth.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
because on the flip side of that coin as well, it's amazing how quickly a single poisonous person can spread
Yeah.
and take over energy of everybody else on the team, right?
Yeah.
You have to be willing to understand that happens and be okay with saying no and cutting that stuff out, because it can spread really quickly. Getting back to your production side of it a little bit, and having produced all over in different markets, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton. I really dislike that you're producing in Calgary, but Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How have you found it is working in the different markets with different artists, and with the world being so much smaller these days? Do you think where do you place the level of importance in being in an epicenter like Toronto versus Edmonton versus California? You know, or is it important that you're traveling and experiencing all of that?
As a Canadian producer and as an international creator, I'm on two missions. My first mission is it's very similar to Arlo's mission, which is why I feel we're in alignment. It's like, I want to build a bridge across the country to kind of make the country closer. So that's why I'm going to all these other cities. And what I'm discovering is everyone's fire. You know what I mean? Canada's got this misconception that all the fire's in Toronto. No, it's not. Like, a lot of our champions that represent Canada to the rest of the world, they're not all in Toronto. You know, I'm a huge fan of the Potato Head people. If you don't know who the Potato Head people are, they are one of the craziest production duos from Vancouver.
Really?
No Man in Toronto has features from De La Soul and Redman and man's from the Dilla camp. Like, it's potato head people, right? When it comes to like Keitra, he's in Montreal. You know what I mean? Man's like classified. You know, there's so much talent outside of Toronto. So I think my first taste of it was going to Calgary, actually, to go link with Benny Johnson for the 10 at 10. And the place I stayed was this place called the Wizard Palace. Fat shouts to man's like DJ Catfish. And the people that came through that studio when I was there for 4 days just to make music, mind blown.
Crazy.
And I'm like, I'm definitely ignorant. And then it happened to me again when I went to Winnipeg. And then again when I go to Edmonton. And then it happened to me again in Vancouver. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
We all should be knowing about each other. And also when it comes to like growing a business or a fan base, you want to be able to travel to places where you got fam. Because that's what we do when we go to LA. We got peoples over there. And like, there's no reason why I shouldn't have people in all these provinces as someone from this country.
Yeah.
You know, so it's important to travel in general, you know, but in our country, I think it's important to know people in other cities too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have a friend who's a recording artist who recently in the last couple of years moved to LA and said the same thing. It's like, you know, you would think that all the talent, all the buzz, everything is happening in LA. But he's like, man, there's some shitty people out here too. You know, he's like, they're like, don't get it twisted. There is talent in Edmonton. Not even for, he's like, he was talking to me on the videography side because he wants me to go out there and shoot a bunch of stuff with him there. And he's like, honestly, he's like, the artists, the singers, the videographers, the directors that we have in Edmonton, the good ones, can stand up in any market and be proud, you know? And you don't really get that until you get the opportunity to work in different markets and kind of work through some of those misconceptions yourself, right?
Yep, so true, so true. Like when we go to LA, for example, we used to think that we weren't working hard enough in the studio just to discover that we were like overdoing it.
Killing it, yeah.
Mans are like, you're still up? I'm like, what do you mean I'm still up? Birds just chirping. I'm like, this is regular.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Man just sleeping on the couch. I'm there rolling up again, cooking up the fourth joint. Like, you know what I mean? So you're very right about that.
Yeah.
So traveling is super essential for like perspective and reminder of like your abilities and also just like expanding, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then also talking about just getting creative, you know, sometimes you have to pull yourself out of an environment. I mean, Arlo, you can speak to this a little bit. You've traveled all over, gone to different festivals and had an opportunity to perform. How has that sort of, how are you able to do that? And how does that inspire creativity in what you do?
The way I'm able to do that is through first and foremost applying. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, so you have to apply first, and then.
So did Gretzky say that, or did Michael Jordan say that?
That's the thing.
Who said that? Who said that shit? Because we say Gretzky said that.
Because we're from.
You're from Edmonton, you know. Actually, to be truthful, I always thought it was Michael Jordan. I never heard until recently that was Gretzky. I always thought it was Jordan.
Yeah,
but
I used to quote it as Jordan. Then one friend of mine from Edmonton, who's a hockey player, he's like, "No, Jordan said that. I mean, Gretzky said that."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Are you sure?" You know,
you have to come back to that one.
Yeah. Circle back, but yeah.
But not like just getting out there, and obviously being in the country that we're from, we have funding to get out there. But once you're out there, making the most of that because it's expensive, and you're also an ambassador for the city or for the country. So when you go out there. Building, connecting, making those networks, and like going out there to do a show doesn't mean you're just out there to do a show. Hit the studio, have a writing session with other artists, like go to the places. Like the same way I'm taking T around to see all of the cultural aspects of Edmonton. We'll do that when we're in London. We'll do that when we're in Rotterdam. We'll do that wherever we are because at the end of the day, like in order for you to understand that city, you have to understand the mood of that city, what makes it tick, who are the people. And the only way you do that, go to a barbershop, go to a restaurant, go walk the streets, like listen to the sounds of the city, soak that up, you know? And from that, you're building networks that allow you to return to those cities. And now it's like your trip is not just going to the show. Now it's a podcast. Now it's a radio interview. Now it's a writing session. And so you're planting seeds within that market that allow you to have a second home to return to, you know?
You wanted to add something to that,
Man, I just agree 1,000%.
Yeah.
I do, because like that's a big part of what's allowed me to grow as a producer, and also like gaining new family, you know, because as much as it's art, a lot of the people you make relationships with in this industry become really close. You know what I mean? So it's beautiful to just travel to just see family too. You know what I mean? Some trips you end up planning to take is just to refresh a relationship you started with people that you miss because you had a great time out there, you know? And I've gone to places where the connection with the people is what's inspired me. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a source of inspiration, traveling. You know what I mean? People putting you onto food. And like I like that you mentioned going out to places in the city because that's places we go to when we're at home, right? So how do you tap in to another city that you know nothing about? That's a great starting place. It's to just like going out and just being on the ground. The internet's great. Use it to do your research, but then take that to being in person.
Go
and
out,
there.
and explore, immerse yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. For other producers out there, what would you say has been one of the biggest successes or tips that you could provide them in terms of staying busy? Because you're able to do this, you do music full time.
Right.
How does somebody transition from, a couple hours a night and work in a full-time job to be able to live their dream full time?
It's a process to say the least, but a good starting point would be get those 10,000 in. But it's not just on making the beats. I highly inspire or tell people to do development. And development means like yourself with a talent, not just any talent. Commit to a talent because the growth you'll experience from that is exponential and it will carry on through what you provide as a producer service. You know what I mean? It's not just making the music. There's so many layers to being a producer that could charge a rate that allows it to be sustainable.
What are the layers? What do you mean? Dive into that a little bit more.
So
I like that.
For example, like I was talking about the process with the 2 hours, a producer is a music maker, but they're also kind of like a therapist, right? So you got to be able to understand how people feel, how to like create an energy in a room, and also help bring an idea to the finish line. And all of those things come with different personality temperaments. So in order to get a grasp or understanding of all these different personality types, you need to experience them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So start with one person and develop that one person, and whatever you come up with from that process, I truly will believe it will be lasting. When you have a synergy or you develop a synergy, there's a higher chance you're making something that's classic. And when I say classic, I mean it lasts. And when you have music that lasts, then you have a higher chance of having a sustainable career. Because if you're just trying to make music that's going to be popular for the year it was made, it won't be played in the future, So to develop an ability to make lasting music comes from repetition of learning how a song starts and how to bring it to the finish line, but also being sensitive to the people you're making it with. Best music isn't made by forcing somebody to do something. You've got to be able to make enough room in the room and learn how to chime in when it's your time, Yeah, that's what you make.
What do you think are the biggest points of growth or like sections of growth you would say when you talk about development with an artist from project 1 to project 2? Where are the leaps that happen?
The big leaps are when you look at the first track list you've made. Like I could think of when I made my first album with Ice the One. That was, like a year's process. We made so much music for that album. And when we looked at that final track list, we could also see all the music that didn't make that track list. That like we grew through to get us to that final track list.
Right.
And some of the songs that were on that final track list was like made like days before
we
completed that. You know what I mean? Even the ability to do that was growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can be a completely more refined creative at the end of that commitment.
Yeah.
And then when you repeat that process, it's totally up to you what you want to add to it. Like for me, it was musicians after that. And then I'm like, okay, I want 2 artists. And I'm like, okay, now I want to be able to get a whole band of people and make stuff. And for me, it's more challenging myself to how sensitive can I be to the energy in the room. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, just the repetition of it will always make it more refined. And that's how people birth sounds, You commit to just having fun with whatever you like to make. And when you make a lot of it, the average of all that stuff is your sound.
Yeah.
It's not like you're sitting there like, okay, I want to make sure my kicks sound like this. Nah.
Yeah.
You just do what you do.
Yeah.
And instead of having 20 to compare it to, you have 200.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I love that. So you're kind of saying that, let's say you end up recording 50 tracks, you end up only choosing 10. It's not that you wasted your time with 40 of them. You needed those 40 to get through to end up with the 10 that you had. And that was all kind of part of the process.
Yeah, big time.
How does that work for you, Arlo? How you, as you wipe your
Getting
your
good
COVID, you're leaving in the studio.
My
Sick
apologies,
MCs,
guys.
sick MCs, fam. Only.
I've been running myself ragged here over the last week, man. It finally caught up
What
with
else
me.
is new?
I know.
Huh? What else is new? The hardest working man in hip hop right here.
Yeah,
I
man.
try to be. Repeat the question.
Yeah. So what is that process like for you when we talk about, you know, you're working on an album right now? How many, what's the most songs you've end up producing for including all the throwaways and stuff that didn't make the album? What's the most amount of songs you produced to end up with how many songs?
Well, I've tried to reduce it down. Now I'm trying to get to the point of getting that Thriller album where it's just 9 songs that's so concise that you listen to it from beginning to end and you don't feel like you've like there's any throwaways, but
Nothing's
you feel
dragging.
like nothing's dragging.
Yeah.
It's a complete chapter by the time you're done, you know? But no, we've done up to it's gonna be a low number. It's like maybe 30 or so.
That's not a low number.
That I was gonna say that's not low, bro.
Okay, because I feel like when I hear about Michael Jackson, like he has like 500 songs that don't make an album,
Yeah.
right? And for me, the thing is that typically when I go into a project, like I have a vision. Like a lot of my albums tend to surround stories, right? So there's a narrative arc to the project. So because of that, like I go into it knowing what these songs are going to be about, and I work at trying to perfect that. I got a tip from somebody many years ago who had attended a writing session, and one of the things they said that they learned from the writing session is that if a song is not good in its beginning, then you either get rid of it or you find a way to make it better, right? And as opposed to like creating like 20 million songs, you figure out how to make that one song better. So is it the chorus that's lacking? Okay, figure out the chorus. Is
Yeah.
it the verse that's lacking? Okay, write different verses. Is it the beat that's lacking? Okay, let's figure out what instruments need to be there. Maybe it's not the right chord progression, so on and so forth. So you're being more efficient with the music you're creating because sometimes people are just like creating stuff, and then that's the stuff that usually ends up as like, hey, let me just throw this song out there. And people are just like, why would you do that? Like that song sucked, you know? So then you
Ouch.
no, like we spoke about Andre 3000 earlier. Like his level of quality control is amazing because there's not one Andre 3000 verse that someone can say is horrible.
Yeah.
But I imagine he's probably written a horrible verse, right?
Right. Are there 1 or 2 horrible flute songs though?
Yeah, that's a different matter. That's
Yeah. I thought that's what you were talking about. But okay, go on. Yeah.
But when it comes to like his bars, like there is not a lot of misses where you look at someone like, let's say Eminem, like he's a great MC, but he also has a lot of like songs where you're just like, we didn't need to hear this. Same thing with Jay-Z, same thing with Nas. But I feel like people like Andre 3000, even the latest Clips album, like that is concise from beginning to end where there's no filler tracks.
Yeah.
And I feel that when we get back to that, then music itself will be something that people are just like, yeah, I enjoy listening to it, not as a passive listener, but an active listener because it's intentional, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, even with that Clips album, I haven't really dove into it, but what I'm liking as I get older now is appreciating space. You don't need to fill every moment with a bar or a lyric or a sound or something. Like I just feel there's moments of breaths in their work now that is just so mature and so like captivating. And it's also the visuals that come along with what they're saying. Yeah. But I just find there's just like there's quiet moments, there's screaming moments, and you got to leave space for that.
That's true. That's true. Space. That's the key word, man. Leaving space.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that I struggled with as a producer.
Yeah.
And I find like over time, the artists that I'd work with, they'd be like, oh, leave a little bit more room, leave a little bit more room.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Until eventually, like that's just my default. It's just like the beat is complete when it's just open.
But I got
Yeah.
a question to ask you though still, because it's interesting that you say that, because a lot of producers of your caliber don't listen to artists. Most of the time they're trying to tell the artist this is what you need. And I think that typically like a lot of artists don't understand the production process, right? Which is why they need a producer, why they need someone to help them with formulating that song, because a producer is not just making the beat, they're like composing the song with the artist.
Right.
But we often see so much pushback when artists are telling the producers, I need this, I need that. It's just like, yo, I make the beats, don't worry about this. But for you to have a process where you're welcoming of feedback from artists, I think that is something that more producers should actually try. And if the idea doesn't work, it doesn't work, but like be at least open to like hearing the ideas of the artist that who's paying you to make the beat, right?
Man, like for me, it's like, it's also the discovery. I think that's why I like to do it. It's because if we're truly in pursuit of the new, how are you supposed to get there? Because I know I have a default. I have an autopilot version of my creativity, whether I'm freestyling or making a beat. So the only way to change the thing I'm guaranteed to make is to take an ingredient from someone else.
100%.
That's the only way I can make something that's not predictable to me. So it's in my best interest to take on all of those suggestions every time it comes. Because most of the time it's not an ego suggestion.
Yeah.
They actually feel that thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I feel it. I just need to try it, whatever they suggested. And if it doesn't work, the whole room will know.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not about ego at that point. We're trying to make fire right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if it's hot, the whole room's going to be like, yo.
Yeah.
And the song keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I guess for me, it was like throwing the ego out of the room.
Yeah.
Because I'm also an MC, but I'm also trying to make the most fire shit. My taste and what I expect out of music is very high. As chill as I may be, I'm dissecting everything to the nth degree, from the rhythm to the harmony to the timing. I'm the son of a drummer and I'm a child of church. So my expectations of harmony is out there. You know what I mean? But the only way I could get there is by listening. And the more I've surrendered in sessions, the better the music became. So I'm like, oh, the only way I'm going to make fire, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Be open.
Just make the drums and
Be open.
listen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? No many songs I've made where all I had to do was press record.
Yeah.
Just get people amped and just
Yeah.
tune.
Yeah.
Why do I have to be the one to claim I did it all?
Right.
That doesn't mean shit to me.
Right.
I'd rather just be a part of a great song
Right.
with the gang. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's how it's been done for me so far.
Well, and a great producer can be in the background and also be the one that inspired that moment. You don't have to be you just can be pushing the buttons, but everything leading up to that moment around how does the artist feel? You know, are you pulling out the best in them? Are you finding their strengths and focusing on that to get us to the 18th take that led us to that moment where they finally, everybody knows, oh, that's the
That was
one.
one. Yes,
That's the one, right?
Yeah, man.
There's so many pieces that have to happen. And why is there something about fucking drummers? Drummers are just the dopest artists of all time. Son of a drummer, you know, Phil Collins, another local guy, Paul Whita. Like, there's just something
Freddie
about
B?
that. What's that?
Freddie B.
Freddie B. Something about that cadence and capacity as a drummer that just filters through in a way to music and artistry that I just love in particular. I'm biased that way, which also kind of brings me to another point, what we're talking about, being open, you know, creativity and ego. When it comes to ego, we're all artists.
Right.
And so it hurts a little bit. you when somebody says, "Oh, that was whack," or that, you know, maybe that doesn't work, because it's hard as an artist, for me anyways. I had to work through this in music and in video to not take that personally, because that's my art. It's like, I think it's dope.
Right.
but it's not for everybody, and everybody might not agree. So it really is a fine line, don't you think, between kind of digging your heels into like, no, this is my project, this is kind of how I want it to sound, and also being able to like sit back and allow other creative entities to own the moment with you, you know?
Yeah, definitely a fine line, but a fun line to dance too.
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
As long as you're making fun the nucleus of the experience, you won't miss, because everybody's out for the same goal.
Right.
Once the goals are
hope.
like segmented in the room,
Yeah.
then you've got like, then it's more of a pulling teeth situation. But if everyone's there to have fun,
Right.
everyone will be down for the good suggestion.
Yeah.
Because they all want to feel that energy from a song becoming better and better and better.
Well, man, I'm so grateful you brought him through. Thank you for making this happen. Award-winning, both of you award-winning, award-nominated, working together, coming together in the studio and dropping this fire. I mean, you came through with that beat. The moment I heard it, and when you talk about space, you know, when I love space, I heard all the room for our vocals to go in there, and just such unique, you know, you got a fucking fire bell in it and like all the sound, like you just super creative. I love the sound, I love the style. Thank you both for dropping fire in the booth today. Do we have a name for that song? What are we gonna call that song?
I don't know.
Damn, I don't even know.
What's the beat called?
I think that was called Clips Ting, because I was literally bumping the clips all week.
It's appropriate. Did you just make it?
I literally made it like a few days and just sent it over. Yeah, man.
Remember though, I wasn't supposed to be on here, but then I'm like, I can't. This beat's like too hot.
Yo, you had to drop a verse on that, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, Arlo, are you sure? I think you need to jump on here. Yeah.
man.
Listen, if you ever have any questions about grants, about recording, about networking, about getting yourself out there and being a part of being a substantial and giving part of your community, I'm going to leave Arlo's cell number. I'm going to leave Arlo's cell number in the comments. You reach out to Music for Mavs, and my man is going to help you out. No, seriously though, how many artists, you know, have you mentored and helped? You know, I was half joking, half serious there. There was really a conversation, no conversation that this man won't have with any artist at any level, at any given point of their career, from greatness to beginnings. And you know, our community, our local community is grateful to have you, brother, and still going strong, and still, what's your bar on that? Anorexic, but
Eating.
But I love to eat.
But I love to eat.
And looking anorexic, but I love to eat.
But I love to eat.
Yeah, man.
And still going strong or something, as you can see, and we can all see that, you know, with the music that you're making and the impact that you continue to make. And Junia-T, brother, how we're lucky to have you in Edmonton,
Man, I'm blessed to be
representing the
here.
T-Dot. And you are fire. Your music is fire. I love the space and the creativity that you leave with the artists that you work with, in collaboration with them, and your whole perspective on and your approach when you're working with artists like Arlo Mav right now.
Legendary, man.
Yo, before we close out, man, let's get our kicks up on here so the
Let's
world
go.
can see.
Let's go.
What we rocking with,
Okay,
man.
man. Them came with the.
What are you rocking
little
over?
brown. These are just some off-brand things, just
Yeah.
like clean brown as you know.
Yeah, you were saying something about your Timbos. What?
No Tim's on this trip. This takes up too much space
It's
in
too
that
heavy.
carry.
Yeah, bro.
If I have a full-on, you know, suitcase on a trip, I'll bring the
Good thing,
Tim's.
dude.
But not
Yeah.
for the carry-on, fam. Takes up too much real estate.
Yeah,
you know?
some guys will rock just a straight up shoe bag now, right?
Yeah.
To put 6 pairs of shoes. Like, bro, I'm not
not
$80
that serious.
for an extra bag?
That's what I'm
Come
saying.
on, I'm not trying to travel like that.
I just brought 2 kicks, fam. Like a white pair and these, fam. These fit in the suitcase nice.
Oh
bro.
yeah, nice and flat. What are you
man.
rocking? I noticed the patent leather on there.
Yo,
What are you
listen to the
rocking there?
AIs, man.
The
legendary
Reeboks?
AIs,
Yeah.
bro.
Yo, the little gold speckles in
I
there.
was trying to get the
Iversons,
black
fam.
ones, but the black ones aren't as widely available. But I want to get the black, the white, and I got the navy here. So
I'm impressed. Usually your kick game is a little weak, but you came today.
Hey.
You knew where you were coming. You
dude,
knew where you were
sneakerheads.
coming to
Yeah,
bring
man.
out the right kicks.
I'm gonna do a video on Instagram dedicated to RJ showing all my fly kicks. All right.
Now you got to go off on me. Okay, I appreciate you. Well, listen, thank you guys for being here. If you like what you heard and what you saw, please do all of those things. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe on YouTube. Every view, every watch does make a difference. We're super grateful that you tune into this. Junia-T in the building, Arlo Maverick in the building. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having us, man.
Let's go.
Man never think it's tougher than tough, cause that man that thinks he's tougher than tough can get set up, really. Ask Weber, you'll be hunted in lunch, and a second chilling and marinade, soaking it up. Yeah, what up?